Well, hello, girlfriend. Welcome back to Shameless Ambition, the podcast. I'm Lindsay Dalen.
I'm Justine Eno.
We are here with another conversation, and this week we are talking about mindsets around ambition, which is such a huge topic because I know we have to work hard at it every single day. Today is no exception. We woke up to a power outage today, didn't we?
This is my third in 2 weeks, I might add. I'm just over this, and I'm actually said to Tyler today, I'm like, you need to bring home that generator.
Yeah, so it's just
Please,
there
because it's just
ready.
when it happened in minus 50, that was obviously a lot more of a crisis because we needed the heat. So whereas today it was fine, we just had no power. But
still not a great way to start the day.
No.
And, we both had a huge day planned.
I was so proud of myself. I was up and I was getting ready. I'm like, yeah, I've got a good start to my day.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was like,
oh, yuck. Honestly, at the moment when the power went out, I wasn't that mad about it because I was just in the middle of my ab workout, and obviously I couldn't finish my ab workout in the dark, so I was just like, well, I guess I'm done that. So
I love that.
But I did get about 90% of my workout done, so it was
Yeah.
still a great start to my day.
And did at the perfect time.
Totally,
At the abs.
exactly. Yeah, I'm done with that.
It always happens in a yoga class. We wait and do core
Yeah.
at the very last, and everyone thinks we're going into Shavasana or something, and I'm like, okay, let's do core, and people are like, why?
And now the real work
Yeah,
begins.
they're pissed. Yeah, but
yeah, it's not a fun way to start the day
No.
in a chaotic state. And we just did a podcast on crisis management, and it feels like we're constantly dealing with these challenging
There's always
moments.
something.
There's always something.
Yeah.
And of course, immediately you and I are connecting on, well, when are we going to record the podcast? That's
because
on our
I
schedule
was
today.
I went into cancel my day mode.
Right.
Because I was just I'm over it. I'm also 5 months pregnant, so I'm over a lot of things at this
Fair.
moment. But I'm over it. I'm gonna somehow get my groceries if my garage can open, and that's it. I'm done with my day. And obviously we're here, we're doing it, right? Because you have to push forward. You have to get out of those sticky moments. But yeah.
Well, I think it comes down to, for me anyways, mindset is always a choice. And it's a decision that we make to show up in the moment regardless of what's going on because things are important to us, right? And
I think sometimes the most authentic things happen when we don't want to show up, but we do show up for ourselves anyway.
that's right. Well, and just forcing yourself to be there in the moment because
Yeah.
you said you were going to be there. And it's just holding yourself accountable to whatever you promised yourself that you were going to do. And it's not an easy decision to make. You don't just flip a switch and you're just in the right mindset to tackle your day. It
No.
takes a large amount of effort.
Yeah, I think that there are some people, and this is just my opinion, so take it or leave it, but I do think some people are born or maybe raised more inherently with the ability to stay positive or be positive or have that optimistic outlook. My husband is one of those people, and I'd like to say I'm a realist, but I think I swing towards the pessimistic side more sometimes, just naturally of who I am. So sometimes I want to strangle him because he's just so optimistic about every situation, and I'm just but so I think sometimes it's a little bit more work for others than it is for other people to actually rewire your brain to get into that positive mindset and that track where you don't always have to work at it. I think you do always have to, but it gets less and less the more you do it because you're training your pathways in your brain to go a different way.
Absolutely.
But it takes a long time for them to learn to go that way instead of the way that's comfortable and it knows, right? So it's constant.
I think that's such a great point that, some of us are just born a certain way, we're raised a certain way, we're conditioned a certain way.
Yeah.
But it doesn't, mean that you can't change things. You can't grow, you can't learn new ways of thinking and train your brain to just kind of reconnect a certain way. Yeah, it just this morning when the power went out, I immediately texted Justine. I was just like, hey girlfriend, how you doing?
I was so stoked that your power was out. So I was like, yes, I'm not the only one.
Not alone, exactly.
I always wonder if I have to think to myself, be did I pay the power bill? And I always have, but it's my first thought of oh girl, did you forget to pay the bill? And then I have to look at my neighbors and be oh,
Yeah.
their power's out too. Okay, it's everybody,
But no, exactly. And it's when those kinds of things happen, you're typically not alone in in the situation. And so if you did have to cancel your whole day, people understand.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it is what it is, but I just knew that that Ty had probably gone to work early. You were getting the kids ready on your own that morning. And so I just wanted to check in and see how you were doing. And it took everything in me not to just blast you with positive vibes this morning. Like, when you walked in the door, I just about had Scotty Doesn't Know blasting at the top of my speaker. Man. But I thought that might be a little too aggressive.
No, it's fine. It's just been one of those, like, who said it? Was it Derek or Ryan? At the Shameless conference, who said, like, living in the room with Murphy. Like, I'm living in the room with Murphy today, and that's okay. Like, I've really just, like, honestly, if you want to know, like, my power went out. I dropped a hammock chair on my head. Mouse shit fell on my head. I almost, like, it's just, like, all these things have been happening today, and I'm like, what's next? But it's okay. It is what it is. Like,
what I would like to acknowledge and just shine a spotlight on, for especially the purpose of this podcast, is that you're here.
Yeah.
And that you could have honestly just sunk into a mindset of just, like, canceling your whole day or just whatever. It's, a choice.
Life goes on. And this is where for me personally, someone who is more pessimistic, I go to. You remember when you would, like, be in high school or college, maybe you were a really good kid and you didn't ever do this, but you skipped class or you, like, faked sick at home, and then the next day when you had to go, you had this overwhelming anxiety because you missed a day.
Right.
And you didn't know what you missed, and you're like, oh, I should have just went. Like, or, you fake sick, and then it's time school would have been out, and you think to yourself, well, I should have just went.
Right.
It's always that, like, looking back, and I felt that as a kid, so I always try to remember, be like, okay, you're going to look back at the end of this day and just wish you would have done it, because tomorrow you're busy, Thursday we're both busy, and then you have plans this weekend, so there's no other time. So sometimes you really just have to, like, slap yourself in the face and be like, just do it, because you can't just push things off and become a procrastinator, because then we're going to be a week behind, and then it just creates this, like, mountain out of a molehill.
Well, and that's just it, is when we are pursuing ambitious dreams, we have goals, we've, prioritized this podcast every single week. It's important to us.
Yeah.
That's right. You want to just make sure you do it so that future you is like, oh, thank God I got that done yesterday.
And future us has plans.
Exactly. We're busy.
There's no other time. Like, we talked about it.
Yeah.
Like, if there would have been maybe, like, both of us were free tomorrow, or I had childcare Thursday or something, we would have been like, oh yeah, let's just let this day go by and we'll do it that day. But there honestly wasn't.
Yeah.
In our schedule, there was no time. So
yeah.
Here we are. So change the mindset. Yeah, back on the conversation. Change the mindset. You had to have the backstory to our morning.
That's right.
To understand this podcast.
Well, and that's just it. Like, it's not necessarily always the case that we are able to just switch our mindset, or sometimes we're in polar opposite spaces than we are today. Maybe I'm struggling with my mindset and I need you to kind of pull me out of it, and I'm just so thankful that we're self-aware enough to acknowledge when we need to make that mindset shift, because that's really how we get through kind of the tough stuff, is by acknowledging that a shift needs to happen and we need to just take it for what it is, because sometimes there's just nothing you can do about stuff, and it can feel worse to hold on to it, right?
Yeah. I have to laugh about it.
Yeah.
I have to, like, find, like, some sick humor in, like, man, this luck is bad today. So let's just, or else I get really frustrated and mad, and then that obviously doesn't serve me well. So I'm just, like, now I'm leaning into, like, oh, what's gonna be next, and it's good. And if it's nothing, that's great. And if it's something, I'm prepared. So, but yeah. So on to the conversation of keeping the positive mindset, or even obtaining one in the first place. Do you want to start off, or do you want me to start off?
Well, I was just going to ask you, like, how, when you do recognize that you need to make a mindset shift, how do you do that? Like, what kind of techniques do you call upon?
Honestly, it depends on the day. Sometimes I really need to, like, feel it and cry and, like, feel it. I need to, like, go through, or else I hang on to that all day. Like, I hang on to that feeling of needing to let it go. So that can be cathartic for me. I really highly suggest movement of the body, like, whether that means yoga or an ab workout or whatever, because that releases positive endorphins, right? So your body's doing the work for you at that point mentally. It doesn't have to be a lot. It could be sitting and meditating and doing, like, child's pose.
Right.
like it doesn't have to be a sweaty Betty kind of workout. Like it can be really, really chill. And yeah, not aggressive at all. And just to get your body moving, to get your mind thinking about something else, to get thinking about your breath. I have a lot of great optimistic people in my life that I rely on to get me out of my funks or to let me know like the problem isn't really that big or whatever I'm worried about. Yeah, I try, and sometimes it's just as simple as like pushing through and knowing that tomorrow's a new day.
That's right.
That's it. And my grandma used to say that to me all the time, is tomorrow's a new day. Like, and that's it. So today is going to be what it is. And if I let it defeat me, then tomorrow's probably going to be a shit day too. So
exactly.
You got to sit in it and let it be for what it is and try better tomorrow.
Well,
maybe the universe has better things for me tomorrow.
That's just it. We've talked about this before on the podcast, how some days are just 1% days, and you don't necessarily want to have a lot of those, but to recognize when maybe you are just having one of those days where you got to sit with something or just allow it to kind of move through you spiritually, physically, however that looks for you. I think at the end of the day, if we can ask ourselves, like, was I a good mom today? Yes. Am I proud of myself today? Yes. Then that's really all of the fulfillment you need for tomorrow to be a totally brand new day.
And being proud of yourself doesn't have to mean like you won an award or you
accomplished
something, or it can mean like you got out of bed and made your kids food or made yourself food or did the dishes or like you have to find this small little accomplishment sometimes in your day. And know that some days you just can't do it all. So
that's right.
And yeah, I think that helps. I think it really helps when you sit in a positive day and like celebrate your positive, great days where, the dominoes all fall into pieces or into place. And it's just like a great day. You have to really celebrate those days. So that the bad ones don't feel so bad because that there are, like, you know what I mean? There are good days. Positivity for me, my husband and I talk a lot about it. Positivity and negativity. And he is a huge believer in frequencies and energy frequencies. So like the energy our body puts out essentially. It's a huge thing in yoga as well. So it's like faking a smile. It's like they say, you can fake a smile for 5 times and then the 6th one is real or something, right? So as much as you hate the saying fake it till you make it, putting out that positive vibe consistently, just pushing yourself to put out the positive vibes, eventually they'll start coming back. It's the law of attraction. But I mean, it's not always easy, right? Easier said than done. If it was only that easy.
Absolutely. Well, and even, the idea of acknowledging that whatever your vibe isn't positive and like facing yourself and saying, hey, like this is not the energy that I want to put out. So I'm going to acknowledge that this is what I am radiating out into the universe and I'm going to do my best to change it. Like I definitely know how just soul sucking that feeling is when I'm feeling weird and anxious and I'm just mad at Mike for random stuff, and it just like I don't like the energy that I put out in my home or to my kids or to my friends or family when I don't have control of my thoughts. You know what I mean?
Well, and the energy feeds to the other people around you. Exactly. Like whether it's your family or whoever else. I see it all the time. If my mood is not good in the house, my kids aren't.
That's right.
And Tyler and I are usually very quiet with each other. He's like, if you've ever met him, he's the most easy person in the world.
So chill.
Yeah, like so chill.
Max,
so
chill.
His like, he calls me Pam when I get all like emotional. It's just like a long story. There's nothing against any Pams at all. But so when I'm in that mode, he just goes quiet. That's his thing. So, but the house feeds off my energy, which is a lot of pressure. And I think most moms, or people in that mom role, I guess you would say in the house, feel that. Like it's all on you. If you're being a bitch in the moment, the whole house is going to be giving that back to you. And it's up to you to switch that vibe. On that topic, I am a big advocate for turning all your TVs off and blasting some music.
Oh, Game changer.
Yeah, and sometimes I'm like a huge TV person and I always have it on for background. That's just me, but I have to like make myself turn them off and just put on some good tunes, and it's within 5 to 10 minutes. Like my mood shifts and the kids' mood shifts. So that's a huge thing.
That's one of my big tactics too, when I know I need to give myself a little bit of an attitude adjustment, when I'm just like, okay, Lindsay, like your vibe is all off and you got important stuff that you need to show up for today and be on for. And yeah, I'll crank the tunes and clean my kitchen or just do something else kind of mindless and productive. And I definitely feel so much better. And another big one for me is look good, feel good. Yeah. It's always been such a game changer when I'm just not in the right space. I do my hair, I do my makeup, and at least I feel confident in just putting myself out into the world.
Well, and then it's like, if you have to leave, even if you weren't planning to leave, or someone stops by and you weren't thinking someone was going to stop by, you feel more prepared.
For sure.
If you like get a inspiration to do a live or a post or something, you're prepared. You don't have to be like, oh, okay, now I have to go, make myself camera ready. And then once you're camera ready, you're like, the vibe's kind of gone.
Right.
I don't want to do the post anymore. Right. Something we were just talking about was music. I want to share this, and I quote me on this. I will come back next podcast and get this guy's name right, because I don't know it off the top of my head. But his Dr. Yashimoto, something of that sort. I will get you the proper name though. He did an experiment. It's on YouTube. You can look it up. But he takes water and puts like on certain pails of water, he puts like negative words and then, or puts them in, and then he puts positive words in other ones. Some of the water has like Beethoven and Mozart music played for it, and the other has like heavy metal, rap, darker music. Yeah. And it was, I should have mentioned the water was frozen, so it was ice. And when they looked at the pieces under crystals, or under a microscope, the crystals were like, you have to look up the YouTube video, but the ones that had the positive words and the Mozart and the Beethoven, the crystals that are gorgeous. Like they're beautiful snowflakes. And the ones that had like the words like hate and anger and all the bad words and the darker music, they were like black. Under a microscope.
Crazy.
Yeah. So it actually it's a really cool YouTube video. I can post it. I'll post it on our Shameless page is what I'll do. That, yeah. So that you can all see, get the guy's name right, because he deserves the credit. But it's really cool to look at it in a visual way of how energy from things can affect our insides. Because if you think about, that's on water, and our bodies are like 60 to 80% water.
Right.
So we're doing that to ourselves inside, right? So exposing ourselves to hateful words, and I don't want to say like I love rap music, but sometimes it has a negative energy to it. It's talking about negative things, right? So it's not that it's not great music, but it's just surrounded by a negative theme, and that can really affect you.
Well, I love that visual representation of the crystals, and like without even seeing the video, I can picture just my little inside of my body being all these gorgeous crystals, because I surround myself with so much positive energy. But it's so true that like we're so affected by what we expose ourselves to.
Yes, one of my notes is like limiting negative consumption. Like you think about, you put on like a Netflix documentary about a kidnapping or a serial killer, or I love them.
I do too.
We talk about this all the time. We love true crime. But tell me, you can be in the best mood to sit down and watch that, and the second you get up, you're sad, you're scared, you're anxious. All of these things start to come into you, because that's what this is about, and you're literally sharing energy with that medium for however long. I just made a very conscious decision last night not to expose myself to a true crime documentary, because I as I was reading the synopsis of the documentary, I just like had this like flash of like, Lindsay, is this what you want to consume right now? And I just thought, no, I don't. That's not the mindset that I want to get into. And again, don't get us wrong, we love true crime, but there are definitely moments where I make a decision of, that's not actually what I want to bring into my energy field at this moment. Or you think you put on like Euro Trip, or like Growing Up, or just a funny movie, and like you belly laugh, and then like you feel great. Totally. Like, so it's something, and it's not a diss on any of those like darker themed movies or music, because we both participate in them, time and place. And it's also being aware of how it will affect you. So like I always say to Ari, if she's feeling sad, I'm like, go watch a sad movie. Like go cry. Go cry, get it out. Like feel the vibe, that's fine, and then we'll start fresh after or something. But make sure you're in the right place. Like if you're already maybe in like a very sad, depressing state about something, don't watch a movie about it. You know, like,
or surround yourself with people or energies that are sad, you know, like that's the time where you actually have the choice that you know, we discussed earlier of like, okay, I don't like this mindset, I don't like how I'm feeling, what can I do, what's within my control that can help either shake me out of it or move it more towards a positive direction. When we're feeling those feelings that we don't like feeling, it's
well, so your vibe attracts your tribe.
That's right.
Like super common saying. So if you just are in a vibe one day where you're sad and mopey and depressed, and you go sit with sad, mopey, depressed people, you guys are going to sit in a sad, mopey, depressed circle. And no one, and don't get me, I'm not dissing it. We all have to work through it in our own way. But when you're ready to come out of it and you know you need to, sitting around those people is not going to be conducive because no one's going to help you out of it.
Right.
Everyone just is going to sit in their little hole together and be like, I'm in my hole, you know, like.
And dig it deeper together.
Yeah, like, and feed off of it. And, so you really do have to try.
You want to know one thing that I would like to say as somebody who really takes a lot of, I guess, I don't know what the right word is, because it's not necessarily enjoyment or passion, but it's like when I have a friend come to me and they're in a tough mental headspace, I really, really love being able to help them out of that headspace. But what I also appreciate is that they let me know ahead of time, Linz, I'm kind of struggling and I could really use a little bit of your energy right now.
Yeah.
Because then I'm prepared to give it to them. Because sometimes when we're actively trying to get out of a tough headspace, we can seek out all the positive people around us. But then what we don't realize is that you know, taking their energy and laying all of our stuff on them it can be really draining for people. And so when you give them that heads up of like, hey, I could just use some support, it makes all the world of difference.
I think it's also like communication is huge with the people that you're going through it with, friends, partners, whatever, because if they don't know where you're at, they're not going to understand your mood.
That's right.
Like if I wouldn't have well, Lindsay knows my day because she went through it with me, but so she knows where I'm at, but had she not, she could have taken the mood personally. She could have thought it was something up between her and I, or anything like that. You know, the list goes on and on. Assumptions. But it happens. We all do them. So if you're open and you're just like, dude, I'm not feeling it today, your friends will know and they'll come. And I posted on my own personal social media a video from Brene Brown yesterday, and it was basically in any relationship, it can work, working or personal, is just telling that person of how much you're showing up today, right? Like, hey, Linz, I'm showing up at 20% today, and you come back and you're like, hey, I got the 80, cool. Totally. Like, you know, we match each other so that we're always at 100% in our relationship together. But if you don't communicate that, there's no way of them knowing and helping you.
Well, and then the expectation just makes it worse and more awkward in the sense of like filling that gap and making up the difference. It's just the communication does go so far, and I love the way that you and I communicate because we are very different people, believe it or not, and so we understand each other at such a high level that I just knew as soon as the power went off that I just knew that I was gonna just bring an extra whatever percentage I needed to, because your morning did look different than mine. You had different stresses than I had, and I was immediately aware that that's what it was going to look like for you, and you let me know how you were feeling right away, which I immediately appreciated, because then I'm not wondering. And again, as soon as you walked in the door, I was just so proud of us because we showed up today, and there could have been so many reasons of like why we didn't show up for ourselves today, and
our choice is the right choice.
That's right.
I had a really good thought and then I lost it, so never mind, you keep going. It went away.
Oh, that's okay. I was just going to take it back for a second to, you made an excellent point about how, as you know, kind of the leader of your home, I guess we'll say.
That's a good way to put it.
Your energy affects everyone in the house, and it is so true. And I have never seen a more accurate representation of this than my own home over the last 8 to 9 months, because my daughters have just grown leaps and bounds in the last 8-9 months, so much so to the point that family members are commenting on just how happy they are, how polite they are, how, you know, grown up they are. And this is a direct result of the fact that I've been happy, I've been healthy, I've been just in a really great positive mental headspace. And it just really does set the tone for everybody's energy in my house.
Yeah.
So
no, it's definitely true. And being stuck in places isn't always the easiest. And like you said, it's a lot of pressure. But it's just like one of those things. It's like once you start to feel the energy shift, when your energy shifts, it becomes easier. And some days are harder. Like sometimes you revert back and you're like, oh crap, here we are again. But try. You have to try. And I know like Linz and I have both listed quite a few tools through this already, and we're, you know, not even a half hour in. So if you are struggling with this positive mindset or having a positive energy, just try one of them. And I'm not saying they're going to work, but maybe one out of 100 will stick and maybe will work for you. So,
and it might take time. Like there are little shifts we can make, and then sometimes there are big shifts that we need to make in designing our dream life and becoming the women that we want to become. I know I always talk about back in 2022 when I went through that crazy identity crisis. That took months and months of deep mindset work, of changing patterns of thought, of assessing my relationship with myself. And it's an ongoing process. Like it's not something that I feel will ever be done. So
I remembered my thought.
Yeah, right on it.
No, so it was when we were talking about communication. So my therapist gave me this advice a long, long time ago. And it's different subject, but we were working through a trauma. And she had me write the trauma down in a journal, like everything that happened. I had to do that like 5 times. And then she had me read it to her. And then every therapy session for like 2 months, I would read it to her over and over and over again. And I know it sounds icky, but what it did was desensitize the trauma.
Right.
Because the more I talked about it, the more I let it out of my body, the less power it had on me. When someone brought it up or when the thought came into my mind, it had less power because I've gotten it out. I've been able to desensitize myself to it. So of course, we're not talking about trauma today, but it's the same thing if you're working through something, talk to somebody about it, because the more you talk to people about it, the less power it will have over you, and the more you'll find people do relate to you. So then it feels, you know, like not so alone as well.
Absolutely. And that's just such great advice to talk to somebody about it, because I know I bottled a lot of shit up for years, and that summer I really let so much of it out. I was in therapy myself.
I mean, to go to therapy.
What's that?
I said go to therapy.
Go to therapy.
I tell my 65-year-old dad to go to therapy.
Oh,
I'm like, go, because we all need that one space where we can go and let everything out and know it never leaves.
Right.
It just
stays there.
Blah. Yeah. Like, and I mean, kudos to therapists, because the weight they get to carry, I don't even know how they wash off their day, but I think it's really helpful to have that, because your friends, your partner, they're always going to have a bias, and that's okay because they love you. But you need to talk to somebody who does not have a bias towards you.
Well, and talk about people that probably have a pretty solid mental mindset fortitude. It would be therapists, you know, like they probably do have that on lock, where it's like they turn it off at the end of the day and say, okay, like I need to take control of my own mindset because I have a family that needs me to be present and available. And so kudos to therapists, because that's a big job. But yeah, it does take time to change our mindsets, and it takes deliberate work and attention and consistency. That's my word of 2024 is consistency.
Right. So it is. It's literally, and the science is behind it. Every time you have a negative thought, if you acknowledge it and change it to a positive thought, eventually your brain will automatically go to the positive thought.
Right.
But you have to stop the negative thought. It's like a car driving down the highway and it's like, you got to stop and turn every time.
Right, yeah.
Like every time until your brain just automatically is like, curve.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, and it does that.
So smooth.
Yeah, you have, it's a constant retraining of the brain. Mm-hmm. Every time.
So I want to touch on mindset related to, you know, we've talked lots about the broader concept of mindset and shifting the mindset. But when it comes specifically to our ambitions and showing up for ourselves, because I know that there are big conversations to be had around things like imposter syndrome, around feelings of, you know, lack of confidence, not belonging. Like, let's share some tips on how we have changed our mindset professionally in the pursuit of our ambitions. So
that's a heavy one.
A heavy one on.
No, I mean, it's just big, right?
It is big.
I don't know. Again, still a work in progress. I still feel like I could have a lack of confidence sometimes in certain rooms. So it's definitely still something that I work on. For me personally, it's something Ashley Callingbull said. I've thought it for a long time. It's just her words make so much sense when she says them, and she says, "I belong to stand here."
Right.
And I believe that. And believing in that in yourself, I belong in this room. I belong at this table. I belong to be standing here helps quite a bit.
Absolutely.
And, so like, I guess that comes down to knowing your worth, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, and just knowing that if you're there for a reason. Like, if you landed in that room or that space, that's by some sort of design. Like, you laid the track line to be there. Yeah. So, like, it's one of your stops along the way. You bought the ticket. You showed up. And I think that mindset of I belong to stand here, I belong here, is so powerful to call on in the moment when maybe you feel like you don't belong.
Yeah.
But also the choice of saying, is this where I want to belong?
Totally. You're like, is this where I want to stand?
Exactly.
Is this the people I want to be standing with?
Yeah.
And if you feel icky about it, it's probably not the people you want to be standing with.
Totally.
Listen to your gut. You know, like always, that instinct, right, is going to steer you. Lots of positive self-talk. I have this on my notes. Positive affirmations to yourself. And, like, do it in the mirror. Like, girlfriend, look at yourself. I
totally agree.
Look at yourself. Yeah. Dead in the eye. Like, I mean eye contact. Don't look up in that corner. Like, look at yourself.
Look at your beautiful face.
Yes. And, like, positive affirmations. There's I wrote it down. The movie The Help, the character who Viola Davis plays. So she's a nanny to one little girl, and she makes her stand there every day and say, "You are beautiful. You are smart. You are kind." Mm-hmm. Do that to yourself.
Absolutely.
Every day. Wake up. And list it off. Write it on your mirror. Have it on a sticky note. Like, we have vision boards. I know you have, like, stuff up in your closet. Yeah, you need to, like, remind yourself, because I mean, we all struggle. Like,
of course.
We all have doubts about ourselves. We all wonder if the outfit actually looks cute. You know, like, whatever it is.
Of course.
But you need to have your higher self there being like, yes.
I couldn't agree more. Honestly, like, I don't think I've ever told this to anybody, but I look at myself in the mirror every single day and say to myself, I like myself. I like myself. And
so
it's
important to like yourself.
Totally. And it's like, obviously I love myself, but it's just like, I really like myself. And I understand that I'm not perfect. I never will be. I'm not trying to be perfect. There are things that I will always have to work on and grow in, but I just every single day decide that I like myself and the person I'm becoming, and that leaves room for that growth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%. But yeah, have that conversation with yourself. Talk to yourself. Like, I mean, maybe not in the middle of a store. Just kidding. Do you ever just do that? You're, like, pushing the shopping cart and you're like, did I say that out loud, or was that in my head? And I'm, like, looking around being like, all right, maybe it was in my head.
It was my inside voice. Yay.
Yeah, but I'm a huge fan. I always talk to myself, but I have conversations out loud with myself, but I'm a huge believer in positive affirmations to yourself. And you'll eventually believe it.
I literally lose sleep some nights because I just can't stop thinking about all the things I'm excited about, like all the things I want to create, all the conversations I want to have, and I have to tell myself, like, Lindsay, there's plenty of time. Like, just get some sleep. You can't do this if you wake up cranky. But I have so many conversations with myself that I've definitely noticed have changed over the years. They're just getting better and healthier and more productive and more realistic, and I'm ready and willing to face all of the things that I need to face. So it feels nice. It's a safe space.
Yeah, you should always be your own safe space, right? Like, yeah.
I didn't know that I could be, though, to be honest, for years. Like, I really thought that I kind of had to just push a lot of stuff to the side in order to just be strong and to just put that best version of myself forward. It wasn't always necessarily coming from an authentic place, because I did a lot of things that I just felt like I was supposed to do for a lot of years. Whereas now I feel like I have this wonderful luxury in my life to decide how I'm going to show up for stuff. And if it's not a fuck yes, it's a fuck no. Yeah. So
I have that as the luxury of like practicing gratitude too. Whatever that is, they can be little, right? Just grateful for your day. Like my husband always says, he wakes up and goes 2 arms, 2 legs. We're good.
That's right.
I think he Googled it, and I don't know, but however many millions of people in the world don't have an arm or a leg, right? And they still get up every day and do their day. So like you got 2 arms, 2 legs, you're better off than lots of people out there. So let's get moving, right? And practicing that gratitude, like, and sometimes it's hard. There's a new song I actually just heard. Again, I forget the band, but it's called Bigger Houses. I think it might be Dan and Shay, but it's basically saying like, you're never going to fill your cup if what you have isn't enough for you. Like, you have to be happy with what you have. Absolutely. Or else, like, that cup is never, you can buy the big house, you can buy the big car, or whatever it is. But until you're happy with, like, yourself and the little things, you know, like your family, and being really in that gratitude that you have a house that's warm and, you know, all those things, you're not going to find happiness, because you're always going to be wanting more, or thinking like the next thing will make you happy, or the next thing will make you feel better. And no.
Well, I think gratitude and authenticity are literally the 2 keys to maintaining a positive mindset.
And honesty.
And
here's where I was going to go next, is being honest with yourself is probably one of the hardest things.
Yeah, it's
I don't know why.
It's yucky.
Maybe because it's like easy to lie to ourselves. Like, yeah, like, I mean, I think back to my younger self of being like, yeah, Justine, go do that dumb thing. It's great. Right. Or, you know, drink another beer. You won't vomit later. Like, you
just kidding.
But we do. We have this capability of like sugarcoating things to ourselves, or at least I do. I'll be honest about it. So being really honest with myself, of being like, Justine, excuse my language, but you effed up.
Yeah.
You know, or you need to do better. You're not making healthy choices. Whatever that looks like, you have to really be able and willing to be honest with yourself before the authenticity is going to happen.
That's right.
100%. Like you can't be authentic unless you're honest with yourself. So again, have that real conversation with yourself in the mirror.
Well, absolutely. And if you can just start those conversations from the inside in, it just, the ripple effect, those crystals, they just grow so beautifully, and then they start to grow outwardly and shine for everybody to share and enjoy.
Same with the negative ones. They grow rapidly.
Big time.
So it's like, which wolf are you feeding today? You know what I mean? Are you feeding the happiness, or are you feeding the anger? And you have to decide which one you're feeding. And it's that simple.
It is making the choice. Is really making that choice. And it's not easy. It really isn't easy. Maintaining a positive mindset is, I don't think it's ever just on autopilot or it becomes easy. However, when you're honest with yourself,
the Dalai Lama,
right? Yeah, he's
exception. Gandhi,
all the time.
Maybe Oprah. I don't know, right?
But when you're honest with yourself, you become more authentic, and when you're more authentic, you have more gratitude and appreciation in your life, and literally the result of that equation is positive mindset. Yeah. So everybody can have it.
And sometimes, like, Lynn hates the word balance, but if you think of the 3 words, right? So we have, where were we? Authenticity, gratitude, and honesty. So if we think of them all on like a 3-way scale, like some of them are going to drop like up and down, and sometimes this one maybe, you know, like it's always a work, right? Yeah. It's always like, yeah, I don't know. I think of some of the most optimistic people in my life, like Lynn's and my husband, and like I've seen them down. I've seen them be pessimistic, and they're a lot quicker at changing their mind frame than other people sometimes, but they still have to work at it. Like it's never, and shit happens to everybody.
Exactly.
So
I want to talk quickly about game time mindset, because this is one that yeah, well, it's just like, I think that it doesn't get enough of a conversation, because we talk about mindset as a growth tool, as kind of a never-ending journey. You okay, babe? Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
As a never-ending journey, but sometimes we actually have to flip the script immediately. We have to turn it on. If you are an ambitious woman, you know exactly what I'm talking about, and it is a very conscious decision to say, hey, for whatever the length of the engagement in front of me is, 2 hours, 2 days, I have to be in this mindset in order for this to be a success. And so I know for me, one of my favorite game time mindset tools is to literally picture the switch. And it's like, I will walk into a building, and even if I have to sit in my car and give myself a little pep talk ahead of time, Lindsay, you got this. Turn it on for 2 hours. You are here to network. You are here to meet people. You are here to create this opportunity for yourself. I'll put my lipstick on, get my war paint going. And I know that the second I walk through that doors, the switch happens.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I'm on. And I know that after 2 hours, I can turn it off.
Yeah.
But for 2 hours, I have to be on. And that serves the higher purpose of my goals so much, because I'm not losing opportunities and potential because I'm worried about changing a long-term mindset. I'm giving myself the space to understand that you only have to do this for 2 hours, Lindsay, and future you is going to be so grateful that you did it.
Totally. Mine's more of a emotional wash.
Oh, okay.
But I did it driving.
I
actually did it driving into your driveway.
Okay.
All day I've just like felt right emotional, just bad day, and I drove into her driveway, and I'm like, there it is. It's there. Mm-hmm. You can pick it up on the way back. That's right. it. Like I'll pick it up on the way out, and it'll still be there waiting for me with a big smiley face. But yeah, it is more of like, I just let it go. Like right now, that shit's not going anywhere.
That's right.
It's still gonna be right there when I get back. So it can hang out by itself for a bit. I'm gonna go and be my best self, and maybe he found a different ride.
That's right. Well, and that's just it. You might not have to pick this guy up on the way home if you don't want to. Yeah. Like maybe he's just not there waiting for you anymore, and it's like, oh, thank God I just turned it on for that hour, because now I'm in a totally different headspace.
Well, and I mean, depending on what you're turning it on for too, like you can feed off of a ton of people's energies at an event or a meeting or a friend hangout, like whatever it is. And again, like Lynn's just said, feeling better when you leave and you're like, oh, I actually don't need to do the switch again. Like, you know, like the switch is on. Like,
I can walk out on a higher vibration than I walked in. And I can say from a ton of cold hard experience, there have been lots of times where I did not want to do something. I was not stoked about it. But I pride myself on being reliable and accountable. And if I say I'm going to be somewhere, I'm typically there, which is why I have to have these conversations with myself sometimes. But there's definitely been occasions where I've rolled in just not really stoked on what I was doing, but knowing that I was going to give my best version of myself for these 2 hours. And I walk out on top of the world with a brand new friend or a brand new connection, a new creative idea. And it's just like, oh, wow, that was like a soul scrub.
Yeah, there's also the flip side too. I want to just like quickly not give much attention to, but acknowledge of like, you can be going to an event and you're already on and you're feeling great and you're like, yeah, it's going to be amazing. And then you leave and you're like, right? You're like, I took all the people with me, like, you know, or just like what you're feeling, just the bad energy leaving that. And know that you can turn the switch on for yourself.
That's right.
Right. Like,
excellent point, girlfriend.
You don't have to turn it on just for like something else. Like if something drains you, like Lindsay and I's song is Scotty Doesn't Know. There's a story behind it, but anytime that song comes on, I don't know, my bad day for like the 3 minutes, it goes away. It might come back at the end of the 3 minutes, but it does go away. Usually I'm laughing by the end of it though.
It's 3 minutes of pure hilarity and happiness. And like, if you don't feel happy fist bumping and singing Scotty Doesn't Know at the top of your lungs, I mean,
I'm
I don't know.
No, I'm just kidding. I'm just
like, I think, yeah, exactly.
It's a crude song, but it's a hilarious song.
Hilarious.
And just watch the movie. It's like you only have to watch the first 5 minutes of the movie to understand the song.
Exactly.
And it's perfect. But yeah, I have a few songs. Like we've talked about it. Like I have a pump up song and like, you know, like a happy song, and I have a sad song that will instantly make me cry. But music is huge. So maybe that's your switch, right? Of like, oh, I'm pulling into a play date, a work date, whatever, an event, a conference, and I'm not feeling it. Put on your favorite jam, girlfriend.
That's right.
And car dance.
That's right.
Because like worst case, someone will laugh at you walking or driving by, and then you'll laugh at yourself.
And maybe you made their day, actually.
Probably.
Maybe they needed to see you being hilarious in your car.
And give it two shits about
I like to do like a full body just kind of shake off when I have just bad energy that's kind of accumulated.
Get out of me.
Exactly. Like if I went into an event and I was next level stoked and
You've
came
done
out
that with
through
me.
the
You've been
floor,
like, bleh.
right? Where it's just like I can just feel the weirdness and the gross vibes and the energy, and I literally just shake it through my body and just like, okay. And that's, you know, my switch
That's
or
icky dance.
my icky dance. Yeah, exactly. And it just like, I don't know if it's just the acknowledgement or like I don't know if energy
Visuals
actually
help.
moves, but
Energy is always moving.
Yeah.
Like I mean, you can feel it. Like think about the first time you met somebody you really care about, like friend, partner. Think about when you first met your babies for the first time. If you have kids, that's energy. That's an energy exchange that you feel, like that magnitude, that pull, that like, holy crap, what is that? What was that experience? That's energy. That's a shared energy experience. And that's why negative ones can suck so bad, because you are sharing them with people. And just remember that, right? Like remember you're like a sponge. So you'll absorb everything around you, and you will also give out everything to people around you. So yeah, just be mindful of that, I guess, and that will help you be more mindful of the positive mindset.
Oh, that's just it. The self-awareness that comes with putting time and attention into your mindset when you lean into the honesty, the authenticity, and what was the third one? Honesty, authenticity,
Gratitude.
And gratitude. That's right. It really does become more of an instinctual habit to be more positive and to be conscious of your energy and your vibrations. And I know that when I'm in a shit mood, I really try to protect the people around me from that mood. If I have to just sit in it and there's nothing else I can do about it that day, I'm just like, everybody back up, because I need to just be.
It's also proven a shock to your nervous system can help switch your mindset. So if you're having like a panic, Lindsay doesn't like these words. But no, she does. She just doesn't like to use them around the kids, because I agree, they're crutches for lots of kids. So, but anyway, if you're having a genuine panic attack or an anxiety attack, or you're feeling like overwhelmed to the max or stressed to the max, and you live in a cold place, go walk outside in bare feet. And put your feet in the snow. Like that shock to your nervous system will instantly be like, and it will calm you down.
Totally.
Super weird, I know, but I mean, if you live in Canada, you might as well take advantage of it.
That's right.
But it is. It's actually proven. So, like, I mean, a cold plunge pool would work, a really quick cold shower. Usually, I don't think heat is a shock to the nervous system. So, unfortunately, you can't do that. But anything that would shock your nervous system into place.
Well, and that's just it, is those switches that you can create in your life, whatever works for you, whether it's a visual, it's a shock to your nervous system, it's some time alone, it's a pep talk, it's breathing. Positive words, it's breathing, it's silence, whatever it is that you know works to shift your mindset, do more of it.
And just keep trying, because it's not all of them work.
Exactly.
Like I sometimes, something doesn't work for me, but having those tools, even just trying them, it's a tool in your toolkit. Even if it doesn't work, still there, you still got the tool, and it might work one day in a different situation, or it might help a friend, or anything like that. Knowledge is power. So do a lot of research. Like, I mean, the only reason I can sit here and say what I have today is I've researched some of the stuff, I've experienced some of this stuff. So do your own research if that's something you're interested in. Like I said, I will post that video onto our social media, but it's videos like that can like help you visualize or really understand how the energy flows and how that will affect you. So
absolutely. And I just think that our mindset really is everything when it comes down to achieving our goals and showing up for ourselves. And you'll never get to where you want to go if you don't have the right mindset in place to take you there, because otherwise it becomes so easy to get derailed by the little things or get caught up in other people's energy and drama and life, and before you know it, you're off in a completely different direction that you never wanted to be in anyways.
Well, I thought this a few times through the podcast, so I guess I'll say it as we're almost done. But you say like people giving negative energy, and I know you have, and I'll let you share that if you ever want to share your own experience with it. But I sit here and I can think of like a handful of girlfriends that aren't really my close girlfriends anymore, because I couldn't answer their phone call anymore.
Right.
Because every time they called, it was heavy.
Yeah.
And that's okay. Like, I'm fine. I'm a very much a safe space for a lot of people. But when it fell apart was when I was going through postpartum. So I just couldn't. There's no way I could have taken on anybody else's negativity because I was already so dark.
Right.
And their negativity just made me darker. And I wasn't being a good friend in return because I was like, oh yeah, sit in the shit. Like, I wasn't, like, get out of bed, be happy. I was like,
TJ understands
life
me.
sucks, quit. Like, know all the things. But, yeah, so it's okay. Like, season, reason, lifetime. And it's okay. Like,
It is.
It is okay.
It is, and actually I just had lunch yesterday with a lifelong girlfriend of mine who I have had countless chats about mindset with, and we had a conversation about how she used to be such a victim. She was such a victim of everything in her life, and like there was a significant gap in our friendship because of that victim mentality, and I was growing in a very different way. And did I have it all figured out? No, of course not. However, our energies just were in two very different spaces, and I look at this beautiful friend of mine and I'm so proud of her acknowledgement and her growth and her drive and her ambition. Everything in her life has changed because she made this massive mindset adjustment years ago. It was so beautiful to watch, and I'm just so proud of the woman that she is because of it, because had she stayed in that victim mentality and mindset, it would have just kept happening. And to be honest, I really don't think we would have the friendship that we have today, because I don't want to sit in that. I don't want to sit in a victim mentality and mindset. I make a deliberate choice every day to choose happiness. And so if you're not picking up what I'm putting down, it's pretty hard to make room at the table.
Yeah. I had an Ayurvedic coach for a while before we moved to Grand Prairie, and it's super cool if you're interested. But she would call. We'd have like weekly, monthly calls, bi-weekly, I think actually, or bi-monthly. And so she would call and she would kind of be my therapist for the first 10 minutes, and I'd vent to her, and then 9 times out of 10 she'd respond with, all right, Justine, are you going to be a victim today, or are you going to be a survivor today? And I honestly, the first couple of times she said that to me, I almost hung up the phone on her.
What is this bullshit question?
I was like, honestly, the thought that went through my head was, fuck you. Like, I was like, excuse me? Like, are you not validating what I'm feeling? Like,
that's your job.
100%. It took me a really long time. And then actually one time she said to me, she's like, Justine, you're not unique. And I was like, sorry? She's like, these are not unique problems. Like, this happening, it's not unique. You're not special. Sorry to break it to you, but you're not special. And I was like, what?
Aww.
But she was so raw and so honest with me that I was like, I am not special. Like, I am not. I am not.
In that feeling, in that mentality, obviously you're so
No. But like in those moments, like I am not that special that my problem is like that big.
Right.
It happens to most people, right? So it's like, all right, get perspective.
That's right.
And you're not a victim. Choose to move on.
Exactly.
And you're only a victim if you put yourself there.
That's right.
So.
Oh, boom. Mic drop. I think we need to just close this one out because we killed that.
Yeah,
absolutely.
It was great.
Murder, death killed that.
That one went by really fast. Most of them do.
Flew by.
Okay, I have 2 again. Sorry. Sometimes I just get, and I don't know what our conversations are directly how they're gonna flow, right? Because we're off the cuff with
just
this.
flow.
So
Yeah.
Okay, first one. Mindset. It is all about the mindset. From the moment you wake up to the moment you rest your head at night, everything is up to you. Your emotions, your thoughts, your perception, your reactions, every single moment.
Love it.
That was like what you texted me this morning. Like verbatim, probably.
I was honestly trying to be so gentle this morning and just like, I'm going to ease her in.
You should have seen my reaction. I'm reading this positive text message and I was like, after I read it, I did. I was like, don't want to read that right now. And then I sat with it for 5 minutes and responded. But I was like, no, I'm being shitty right now. No.
I had your 80 right away this morning.
You did. Yeah, you did. Okay, this one's one of my favorite quotes. It's from Buddha. What you think you become, what you feel you attract, and what you imagine you create.
Love it.
So.
Yay, Buddha.
Yay, Buddha.
Always just blasting out the wisdom.
I have so many Buddhas in my house.
Yeah, you do.
I do. Yeah.
It's a very beautiful space in your home. Very
Lots
safe
of Buddhas.
and, so cozy.
Well, so
I think
is
that's
yours.
why I just have spent so much time working on my own mindset there, because I just feel like we have the best conversations ever.
Yeah. Good vibes.
Yeah. Honest, authentic.
Find your tribe.
And appreciative.
That has the same vibe.
Thanks, girlfriends. We hope you enjoyed our conversation around mindset. We will catch you for another one next week.
See ya.